Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Veterans Minimum. I'm your host, Nick Deus, as I'm struggling to get comfortable here in my seat. I don't know why. I haven't podcasted in a while, and that's why.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
everything
vacation.
that went out this past week, has been pre-recorded. I mean, the Kobe stuff, which I guess we'll get into right now. First of all, I'm sorry, Alan. Welcome back.
Hey, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. Yeah, like I recorded the emergency podcast for Kobe. I had Dylan, our buddy Dylan, called in, and then Dilly, shout out to Dilly, man. He's been a fan of the show for a while. I got to know him through the Twitch streams and whatnot. And, you know, he's born and raised a Laker fan. He lived out there. So I just want to get a different perspective of someone that grew up with Kobe literally in his town. You know what I'm saying? So it was cool. Nice perspective. Definitely check that out. And also the podcast and show with our girl Minty Betts from Wager Talk is up there. Really cool. Talking about Vegas and whatnot. But I've already said all my thoughts on what Kobe meant to me, the Kobe situation. Alan, I want to give you that luxury to, you know, let's talk about that whole situation, bro. Like, that was...
When a player retires, you kind of, obviously, you celebrate them, you adore them, you give them all the praise they deserve. So, but then you see most of them, they go into media, or whether it's, you know, they become an analyst on the network or they become a podcast host, they usually stay in the spotlight. Kobe's kind of been out of the spotlight for a bit. I know he won an Academy Award for the best short film. I know he's been getting into different businesses, but you don't really see him doing many interviews until recently. He started, I think he went on like Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles' podcast, which I kind of dug. But what really got me back to seeing what Kobe's doing is he went on All Smoke, which is like my new favorite show. I've been watching it almost every episode now. Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, shout out to them. They're doing phenomenal work over at Showtime. So there was like this 40-minute interview of Kobe. It just came out recently. And it was just interesting to hear what his plans were, because he's been so out of basketball, but just seeing the relationship with his daughter, how his daughter pretty much gone back to the NBA because he hasn't been to the Staples Center since his jersey got hung up. So just seeing all these ideas and just seeing Kobe in a real positive space, because we remember Kobe as this really aggressive, this super competitive guy, and yes, he's had his drama. I'm not talking about, you know, what happened off the court, but I'm talking about, you know, there were times where people thought he wasn't going to stay in LA. He was going to demand trades. He was known as selfish. He was really stigmatized, Kobe. He was really criticized. But one thing you can never doubt Kobe on was his competitiveness. This guy was a serial winner. They don't make many people like him anymore. I'm talking about athletes. So that's why I always admired about Kobe. Even though growing up, I hated the Lakers. I wanted the Kings to win all the time. Tim Donaghy, you ruined my childhood.
You ruined a lot of people's pockets as well.
Which is far worse. But then I started appreciating Kobe once those teams with Artest, Gasol, Bryant, like that. Those Lakers-Celtics series were really fun to watch. And then, you know, just seeing how we went out in terms of retirement. So even though I can't say as a kid, like, I wasn't like enamored with the Lakers, I always wanted them to lose. But of course, you had the respect. But just, you know, his legacy and how much, just not just basketball, but especially all across the world. Like, you see his culture, especially in Europe, a lot of soccer teams, whether it's Milan or PSG or Barcelona, giving the praises. This guy was a global icon, and just the way, you know, what happened on Sunday, just, it's devastating. And, you know, for his daughter as well, someone has such a bright future, and just seeing that relationship, everyone posted that video of them two by courtside, you know, him, I guess, giving him her instructions on what's going on in the game. It's such a sweet moment now for it to be gone like that, especially someone that had so much ready to go, and everyone's talking about, oh, he's going to do some great stuff post playing, and just now, yeah, it was really hard to digest someone that's such an icon. Like, I can't remember the last time I was just shaken up by a death. Probably maybe Anthony Bourdain. But obviously Kobe, his influence, never forgotten. And I hope whether it's the All-Star Game or NBA, maybe we do see the icon become it. I think it would be great, because you're
talking about the logo.
Yeah, when it talks about influence, other than MJ, like, who's really up there?
Well, I mean, I've been super adamant about how in our generation, we're 2 years apart age-wise, whatever. We're in the same generation. We went to high school together, pretty much. Kobe's in the Mount Rushmore of athletes that meant something, and feel free to chime in and tell me what four you would put. But for me, it's Brady, it's Jeter, it's LeBron and Kobe.
Oh, it says all around sports, yeah.
All around sports, what they meant to this generation, the 2000s to now, you can't write the history books on this new millennium, I think, without those four guys.
I think you're spot on. I thought you were gonna go basketball. I'm like trying to think basketball.
No, I'm saying like across all sports, you know. And sure, you can maybe throw in Messi or Ronaldo, but then that opens up a different can of worms of international. But I mean,
consistent greatness. Guys have won several championships. You just always see them at the pinnacle of the sport. Like if they do something, it's gonna be reported on, and they just have legions of fans, regardless. Yeah, and they're pretty much polarizing figures, all four of them. Even Derek Jeter, someone that's respected him, he definitely has his critics, and we know LeBron, Kobe, and Brady have their critics. But yeah, I would say those four. It's a good choice.
My favorite thing about Kobe, and I don't know if I mentioned this on the emergency pod because I recorded that about 4 hours after it happened, so I was still gathering information. He was the first big name athlete of that stature to embrace soccer, which is forever my first love. And also, he really embraced women's sports, right? He would say in a recent interview not too long ago, someone asked him if a woman could play in the WNBA, and he was like, yeah. And like he presented a really strong case and an argument. And, Girl Dad was starting to trend. The chick from ESPN gave a really cool, like, open story about her relationship with Kobe, the one-time interaction.
A lot of great stories. Shea Serrano posted great from The Ringer, posted a great article I recommend reading. That's another one.
Do you find it crazy that, I, like, never met Kobe, wasn't a Laker fan. He wasn't even, like, a guy that I was super, like...
I used to be very critical of Kobe.
I wasn't
yeah.
Look, I respect greatness, right? And I loved watching him play.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, but he was never a guy that, like, for me, it's always been LeBron.
Same here.
But his impact has been so crazy, man. I think it's because he was supposed to be, dude. You see in the NBA, unlike all other sports, they really embrace their past, right? Shaq and Barkley. I know they're like somewhat recent, but those guys are on TNT. You probably have the best sports show on a weekly basis, right? The halftime show and all that stuff they do in TNT. Bill Russell still gives out the MVP in the NBA finals, or he's courtside and people show him respect. Like, there's something about the NBA that's completely unique from all the other sports where they really embrace the old heads. And sure, do they talk crazy sometimes? Like, yeah, Giannis couldn't play in the 80s. It's like, dude, John Stockton was 140 pounds.
Stubborn,
and I get he's a Hall of Famer, but like, that white guy ain't stopping fucking Giannis. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the NFL's kind of similar in a way. Just in terms of athletes, guys are just going to be hard at it. It's going to be about all
and hold on
generation.
to their generation. Right, yeah, I hear you. But with Kobe, he was starting to get back into the limelight and sitting courtside. A story came out about how 2 of the 3 games he went to this year featured the Atlanta Hawks because his daughter, rest in peace to Gigi, she was a big Trae Young fan. So that's why he was at a random Nets-Hawks game. Like, what the hell is Kobe doing over there?
It was like Trae Young and Doncic were our 2 favorite players.
There was a cool clip where Luka's about to inbound a ball and someone's talking Slovenian to him.
Oh.
And he's like, what the hell? And he turns around, he's like, it's Kobe. Like, Kobe knew like 4 different languages and shit too. So, yeah, man, it's really sad.
It's heavy.
Yeah. I think it's the most impactful sports death of our lifetime.
Yeah, what else is there? Because people were talking about basketball deaths. I think, ironically, the last one was the late, great Drazen Petrovic. Gracious finest. They were comparing to him because he died, I think, in a airplane, I believe. This is like before I was even born.
It was like in the 90s.
Yeah,
the number 3 jersey, right, for the Nets.
So that was the last like tragic basketball that during, although Kobe was obviously retired, but still someone was in his peak, like someone that was still much in the limelight. Yeah. It's really unfortunate because especially him, Kobe, he could have just given so much back to sport just with his mind because he is such a fascinating person, whether it's interviews or just someone that's so knowledgeable of the game because you can't teach competitiveness and just his work ethic. I think that's not thing people have to keep in mind. Like, players have stories that, this guy would be in the gym 4 a.m. shooting jumpers. He would talk about like, he was in the NBA at 18, he couldn't drink, so you just go to the gym or you just watch film while guys would be out partying. Guys like Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones.
My favorite video that went out was, I believe he's maybe 21, 22 years old, and he's talking at like the rookie symposium. He's kind of like addressing all the rookies and whatnot, and he's talking about like, hey man, look, I know you guys are probably gonna laugh at this, but life is all about finding a nice woman, starting a family. That's what makes me happy, man. Try to save your money. Don't go out to the clubs and whatnot. And then he turns in typical Kobe fashion. He's like, some of y'all might think I'm soft, but I will check that ass on the court. Like, don't think I'm soft, man.
Oh no, he goes after people. Like, he was talking to him with Matt Barnes back in remember it was Orlando Lakers game, the ball chat, and then there was games like Barnes got tip dunk at like Kobe would elbow him in his stomach. Like Kobe would throw elbows. He knows how to play mind games, which is why he's a serial winner. I feel like if you're really gonna be a serial winner, you do have to play those mind games at times. So. Yeah, like I said, never owned the jersey. Hated the Lakers growing up, but he's like you have to appreciate greatness. And a guy like him, especially someone that was making a real impact off the court, someone that was a family man, you just have to admire him. So huge loss, and I hope the All-Star game they honor him. I just hope whatever going forward this year they just continue to honor him, and it's gonna be cool now. I think the Lakers are gonna be kind of a sentimental favorite now. I think everyone's gonna get behind them. So we'll see what LeBron could do.
Oh, yeah, he's going to turn up, man, that's for sure. All right, roll call. I'm going to do this right now because we got a really packed out episode. Patreon members, Daniel Gibson, Derek Pleiades, Corey Johnson Hoops, Bo Clore, Ryan Pisner, Christopher Velasquez. You guys are all on the franchise tag. I give you guys a 2 sweet. If you're watching this video on YouTube, youtube.com/Veterans Minimum. Getting really good at these. I've mastered the cheap plug, Alan. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Mick Foley.
Nick Chavez, Chuck Page, Bradley Preller, thank you all for your contributions in the Supermax for the month of January. And I want to give a shout out to my guy, Manir17. He said that he took an unfortunate, there was a death close to him earlier this month. It's been a rough month for him. And, between Kobe news and all that, and then he lost a friend earlier this month. So just showing some love his way, too. Shout out to my guy, Manir. All right, cool. Alan, we have an absolutely packed out show, man.
Super Bowl,
the big game. Are you not allowed to say Super Bowl?
Wait, why we can't say Super Bowl?
So apparently radio ads, you have to say the big game. Have you ever noticed that? It's because like
what is this, like Christmas and Happy Holidays? Dude, we're just taking away the true essence. It's called the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. Man, I am devastated that I'm not in Miami this week. And I know all of you guys that know me, Lamb loves the 305 for many reasons. But this week in particular, man, we should be down there right now.
It's jam-packed. There's stuff going on there. You got Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman ready to throw blows. Kamaru Usman has a cast. Masvidal's like, I'm not hitting someone with a cast. But I don't know. I still feel like there hasn't been made because both these teams are just so likable. There hasn't been much like heat between them. It hasn't been too many storylines. I just think both these teams are so likable, and it's gonna be a great game. There isn't much to sell. But I just remember in past years, I don't know. I think there was more of a build-up. There hasn't been much build-up. Maybe because the Kobe news is just taking over everything.
Yeah,
but
man.
I just feel like there has not been much buzz for a Super Bowl, which is a little unfortunate.
Because did they even do media day?
They did,
but it was like on Monday.
Yeah, I think the Kobe news.
It really trumped everything.
Right.
If you think about it, yeah, that's true, man. You even going back to the Kobe stuff a little bit, you hear some of the impact that he had on guys that weren't even basketball players.
Oh, Pat Mahomes says he still watches.
Yeah,
he supposed to get hyped up.
So, all right, let's jump into this top 5 segment. We're gonna talk about our favorite Super Bowl moments, and I think Alan is gonna get. Alan might not make it through this show, guys.
Super Bowl 51 never happened.
Super Bowl moments, top 5. Do you want to take the baton?
I want to give a few honorable mentions because this was really hard to do. I made like a list.
What did you base yours off of? Is it Super Bowls that you were able to comprehend and understand, or was it just like all-time moments?
No, I started from when I first started watching sport, which was Falcons-Broncos.
Okay.
And then I went onwards to that. I just felt like that was better. I wanted the live experience. I think is really key. So I based on that and just the overall moment and just the magnitude of certain plays or just how creative or how insane it was. So the few honorable mentions, I want to mention Adam Vinatieri's game-winning field goal against the Rams. From a bank perspective, Lamb, you'll appreciate this. The Rams were favored by 14, and that was obviously Brady's rookie year, and Rams were known as a terrifying team, greatest show on turf, and just that moment seeing the Patriots do it, because I remember watching that year, I was like, oh, because I was just getting to sports, like I was thinking, oh, Drew Bledsoe's a decent quarterback, and then this 6th-round pick named Tom Brady just comes out of nowhere, and just seeing them beat the Rams, because growing up, I just thought the Rams were the most terrifying team, that offense, greatest show on turf. And to see him go down, and they never recovered after that.
You know who my favorite wide receiver of all time is?
Torrey Holt.
Torrey Holt, baby.
Gotta love Torrey Holt.
Gotta love Torrey Holt. And also that Super Bowl. What's funny is the New England Patriots are a part of two of the biggest upsets in Super Bowl history. If you look at the Vegas point total, it's Super Bowl 42. Mm-hmm. Wow, I can't believe I almost forgot.
Yeah,
that.
I don't know.
That's embarrassing, guys. I haven't drank yet.
Yeah.
And then the Super Bowl 36, which was that one.
Wow.
Because my dad actually went to that Super Bowl.
Man, yeah.
It was in the Superdome, brother.
Good old Superdome.
Yeah.
A few more I want to mention. Just Dwight Smith, which totally be forgotten about. This is when the Bucks played the Raiders. I loved everything about that Bucks team. That defense. You have Hall of Famers at every level, and just seeing John Gruden get one on the Raiders that was something fun to watch, and that was just one of those cool moments. Because I grew up, I really appreciate elite defenses. That defense, Warren Sapp, Simeon Rice, Derek Brooks, John Lynch, Rondé Barber, you name it. So
they also had a guy that was a safety that won MVP.
Dexter Jackson.
Yeah.
Then he went to Arizona, got paid, never heard from him again. But
yeah, really fell off the map,
Yeah.
yo. Good for him, though. Got his money.
And last one I mentioned, Larry Fitzgerald's 64-yard touchdown against the Steelers. I think the Steelers-Cardinals Super Bowl gets severely slept on. That was one of the more back-and-forth entertains. I love that Cardinals team as well. So that Super Bowl, seeing Larry Fitz in the big moment just streaking down the field, that just missed out for me. But that was another one I want to include. But, yeah, those are just a few honorable mentions. But to start off, number 5 for me, Percy Harvin's kickoff against the Broncos in MetLife. It's just Percy barely played that season. I think he came back in the playoffs, and that week actually he got into a fight with Golden Tate in the locker room. If you listen to his interview on Bleacher Report, they do a show. I always butcher his name. I think it's Master Telvisan. I'm definitely butchering his name, but he has a great show. He interviews retired players. And he interviewed Percy Harvin. Percy Harvin talks about how him and Golden Tate got into a fight on Super Bowl week. People didn't know what Percy's mindset was, and for him to, at that moment, even though they were already up pretty big, just to see him starting the second half, because I remember my buddies and people were like, oh, Payne's going to come back, and then it's just a kickoff, and Percy Harvin takes to the house, and I've always been a huge Percy Harvin guy, and I thought that was a really cool moment, because when you see kickoff returns really happen in the Super Bowl.
Yo, you know what I once said about Percy Harvin? Greatest offensive weapon in football.
If he was healthy, man, if he didn't have all his concussions and other healthy, he was, as in terms of just a weapon, he was scary.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying sarcastically.
No, I was being like super dead ass.
No, dude, his rookie year was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Yo, they could use him in end arounds, handoffs, line them up in tailback, as a fullback.
He's a big reason why
receiver.
Brett Favre had that revival year in Minnesota. Everyone talks about Sidney Rice, and Adrian Peterson. No, like Percy Harvin was the man.
Yo.
So I feel like he gets slept on. People like to mention Reggie Bush. I'm like, no, watch Percy Harvin.
Dude, early Twitter game. I'm talking about like 300 followers. He followed me.
Oh, wow.
I tweeted like a verse from like a rap song, which I guess as I looked into it was a Bible verse. And then I don't know, he just followed me for like a month and a half. It was dope.
Unfortunately, that Seattle trade did not work out for him. But in that moment, I thought it was really cool.
Well, he got a Super Bowl. It didn't work out for them. But all right, look, I'm gonna be a little biased, and I'm also gonna flex a little bit. But a lot of my Super Bowls are ones that I've seen.
Well. Oh, okay. I thought we were gonna go hometown pick. I'm like,
well, no,
I thought we were gonna go later for that.
We're definitely getting to the hometown.
I was like, damn. I was like, you put him at number 5.
All right. No, number 5 for me was the first Super Bowl that I got to go to, and that was Raiders Bucks.
Oh, okay.
San Diego.
So you remember that Dwight Smith moment, right?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that because we got to remember the Raiders team was.
They had Jerry Rice,
Tim
Brown.
They had Rich Gannon was an MVP, and they were lighting shit up.
They were,
and it was in San Diego, Qualcomm Stadium,
something like that.
I went. It was the longest day of my life, I think, because we took a Saturday late flight, got into San Diego around like 11, and then like went to the game and then left to be back home Monday. Right. But yeah, that was like the first like.
Was there a particular moment or?
Nah, just that whole experience. Okay. That whole experience was dope because my dad had went to the Super Bowl the year before, which was the year before was Patriots and Rams, greatest show on turf. And what was crazy about that was that it was the first time that I got to experience the Super Bowl vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'd gone to a handful of football games at that point.
And you were Raider fans.
Yeah, a lot of Raider fans.
Not too far for them.
Yeah, it was 70-30.
Mm-hmm.
I remember people asking me a lot of times, and I'll be saying this often, a lot of times when I'm going to the game and as I'm walking there, people are offering to buy your tickets. You know, $120 million has been confiscated in counterfeit products this week during the Super Bowl. Crazy, right?
People got to make a profit.
They do. Yeah. All right, give us one of yours.
Antoine Randall, the reverse touchdown to Hines Ward.
Wow, in Detroit, Seahawks, Steelers.
It was 14-10, fourth quarter, and this is at a time where you didn't see a lot of trick plays. It was offensive, kind of, I don't want to say generic, but they didn't take as many chances as they do now. And just seeing in that moment, Antoine Randall, who was a quarterback in college, make that throw to Hines Ward, totally bade Seattle. It was just a perfect design and couldn't have been executed better. Just a really cool moment at a time when I was learning the sport, and Pittsburgh, this run-heavy team. Jerome Bettis was still there. Willie Parker had a big run. I remember that game and just seeing them take a shot in the fourth quarter while having a lead. I thought it was just a really cool moment and essentially won them the game.
Yeah, the Willie Parker run, I do remember that. Remember Jeremy Stevens, the tight end?
I was thinking of the fighter, but I was like,
yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure, because you're an MMA guy, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. But yeah, he was going at it with like Joey Porter, kind of just.
My God. Joey Porter always starts them, man. Those Steeler defenses.
All right, this is probably where the show is gonna end, guys. But Falcons Super Bowl.
Oh God,
the fact that it went to overtime, and I called that. We're gonna play our prop game in a little bit, but I said like, yo, it was like 9-1 for the Super Bowl to go to overtime. Never happened before. Also, got to remember that was the year where there was like 11 overtimes.
Because I believe Cowboys, Packers, that went to overtime.
But I'm just talking about that whole regular season. There was like 3 ties. Okay. I remember there was like a Panthers Bengals game that went into overtime or some shit.
Yeah, game in a tie.
Yeah,
I remember. That.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like 2 or 3 games ended in a tie, and I was like,
that was just your gut feeling.
Yeah, I'm very dumb with some of my breakdowns sometimes, where I like to use factors that might not mean anything.
Yeah, because I don't know what that.
Like, no, what I'm saying is, it was like, it was very fitting for that to be the year where it goes into overtime, because that whole season there was a lot of overtime games, even though one doesn't really relate to the other.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. That Super Bowl didn't exist, though.
Yeah. All right, give us another one.
Devin Hester's opening return against the Colts. Forgettable Super Bowl, legendary moment.
In Miami.
Oh, yeah.
I was there for that, too.
Just the opening of that, because I think everyone knew the Colts were going to win that game, but just to see Devin Hester in that moment, and the return was impressive itself. He made multiple people miss, and I think he just turned the field, and it was just, once you saw him accelerate, it was a wrap, and just that was the year Devin Hester really put himself on the map, and I just thought it was just a cool moment. You don't see kickoff returns like that much anymore, so I remember that moment. It's like opening kickoff, you're just like, all right, Rex Grossman's going to get the ball. Colts are probably going to get the lead. It's going to be a wrap. Oh, wow, the Bears actually got the lead, and Devin Hester's doing it. So
it was a very sloppy game, too. Dominic Rhodes had a big... No, or was it Joe? Yeah, it was Dominic Rhodes.
That was Pierre Garçon's rookie year. Oh, no, wait, no. Was it?
That was Joseph Adai.
Oh, Joseph Adai, okay.
Joseph Adai. Reggie Wayne was still like Hall of Fame.
Garçon was the Saints Super Bowl I'm thinking of, yeah. But, I thought it was just... I knew the Super Bowl was going to be pretty lopsided, but it was cool to see Hester do his thing. I think Hester's one of the most... electrifying players to ever play the game.
Dude, you want to talk about electricity, man. I was sitting with a bunch of Bears fans. I was wearing my Colts jersey. But really cool, though. There was no hostility.
That's a cool fan base.
Yeah,
I like to meet
had
more Bear fans.
But they were like giving me shit. I was like, hey, man, I'm a Giants fan. Like, don't go crazy. But I was wearing my Peyton Manning jersey.
That's a fan base that's suffered for quite a bit.
Yeah. All right. For me, moment number 3.
Saving the best?
No, I'm saving the last 2 are going to be about the Giants.
Okay.
Spoiler. Yeah. But this one
I'm waiting on it.
You mentioned Larry Fitzgerald in honorable mention. I was at that Super Bowl too. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting at the 20-yard line directly in front of where a lot of people might not know this, but when James Harrison returned the interception.
The craziest things.
Dude, he got pulled off to the side and was given CPR and shit. Not CPR, but like the defibrillator. Like he was out of gas.
Yeah.
And he was on the side, like, like that white area where the out of bounds.
Yeah.
It's like that really thick white paint, and then that's where the coaches stand, like opposite of it. Dude, he was maybe 2-3 feet off that, and it happened right in front of me.
It was like 98 yards. Could be even more.
I think it was 102. I think it was.
It was in the end zone. I just remember rumbling that because even though he's like an edge rusher, he's one of the bigger edge rushers.
Yeah.
He's not some like 240-pound guy. This guy's massive.
And then the Santonio Holmes catch happened in the far pylon for me.
Such a good.
So we didn't know if that was a touchdown. We couldn't see. We had to look up at the big screen there. And also it was Raymond James Stadium. That's one of my favorite buildings I ever went to, just because the Buccaneer pirate ship is so gangster. It's so cool, man. And they've had such a shitty
I know. I hope
team for so long.
Bruce has to do something over there, man.
Oh yeah, but that was really fun. Tampa Bay was dope. I was a senior in high school for that one, so that was really, really cool.
Cool. Number 2, gotta go Philly special.
Oh,
it was 4th down. Doug Pearson's been gambling all year. Everyone knows Doug Pearson is a guy that is as fearless as it gets, and just that play call, design, the execution. What else can you say? Belichick outsmarted the worst possible time. I think it was 15-12 before I think Patriots had a lead, and they just did it right before halftime. It was just such a momentum shifter, and just the balls to make that play call was just unbelievable. And I think that kind of set the I guess standard or bar, however you want to phrase it, just for offensive coordinators going forward. Because I remember the following year Atlanta did it when Sarkisian, his last game as offensive coordinator, did it, and Sanu hit Ryan on a touchdown. And you just see now more and more teams use that play design, double reverse, and all of a sudden you see a quarterback. They tried doing it to Brady, didn't quite work out. Or I think the Packers-Vikings games we saw Monday night, Stephon Diggs just missed Kirk Cousins. You see a lot of teams now using that play design. So I think that was kind of just the start of something, and you have to give huge appreciation to Doug Peterson and all of that coaching staff. So, yeah, even though it was like a 1-yard touchdown, I still think at that moment, in it for a really fun Super Bowl, it's got to be up there for me.
Yeah, that was. I mean, now it's become anytime there's a double reverse and a throw to the quarterback, it's a Philly special, right? The Bills ran that against the Texans, and it was a Philly special. Yeah. So that's just something that's always going to be synonymous with that player. All right, number 2 for me, and this is going to sound crazy, but it's Super Bowl 42, the undefeated one, because I was 16. I started to fall in love with football, but I wasn't there yet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This was 07 going into 08, because remember, it was February 08 was when the Super Bowl was played, but it's the 2007 Super Bowl champs, the New York Giants. But, man, the Burris touchdown happened in the far end zone for me. So, like, we couldn't see that, but the escape happened right in front. I was sitting in the end zone. And, yeah, I just remember, when Randy Moss did his. Oh, that happened right in front of me. So it was like blankets, bedtime.
Oh, my God. Randy.
But, yeah, that was just really cool. I saw people crying, and I didn't really understand it, which will lead into my next one. I think I'm just going to double up on this one and let you give you would have to give 2, right? Or no, you would have to give one more, right?
Spoiler, it's a Tyreek catch.
Yeah. So,
I feel like for us, like, if that's not up there in your top 3, I don't know how you watch the sport. Like, for me, that David Tyreek catch, I don't care what fan you are, that is just one of the most greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
Isn't that crazy how quick they blow the whistle now? That play even happened. I say this all the time.
Especially now. Like, we saw Deshaun Watson this year against the Colts.
Watson, there was a Carson Wentz play that was reviewed for if his knee went down. Yeah,
Baker Mayfield against the Titans, I remember.
There's just a bunch of them where they're so quick to blow a play dead, which a lot of times, granted, Eli Manning. Oh, it was Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, the Monday Night Football game. Remember they called him dead, and then, of course, he did.
That actually helped me win a fantasy football matchup. Salute. Niners D.
But, dude, think about that. Just think about that. They don't let these guys make plays anymore like they used to. And look, Eli Manning isn't really Russell Wilson. He was never a guy that was agile or mobile at all.
You're being friendly, but yes.
So, yeah, I mean, he was a corpse. Yeah. I called him the corpse of Eli Manning for the last 4 or 5 years.
Even 2008.
But for him to make that play was just so absurd. And especially when you look at how football is played now, it's just so ridiculous.
To a special team. That's another thing people got to take it.
Yeah, he threw it to
David Tyree. Like, David Tyree's a special teamer. Like, this isn't Plaxico Burress or Steve Smith, Giant Steve Smith, just to clarify, or Mario Manning, whoever it may be. This is a special teamer over legendary safety, Ronnie Harrison, and he used his helmet to catch the pass. And it was just You want to talk about YOLO balls, like one of those classic Eli Manning YOLO balls. This was a classic Eli Manning YOLO ball, just at that time, and it set the stage for what was one of the greatest upsets in just sports history. So that's why that's the number one. Just the whole dichotomy of it.
Every year, two teams make the Super Bowl, Allen. But how'd they get here? I want you to give me what's your most significant reason for why the San Francisco 49ers are in the Super Bowl right now.
Off-season plan, I know it sounds pretty broad, but I just think how they construct their roster, just through savvy moves such as, say, sign Richard Sherman or train for Emmanuel Sanders. Obviously the Jimmy G trade. Between that and this drafting really well, I think they've always had a big plan. But if you want to look at it from a personnel standpoint, I just think the amount of talent they've accumulated up front has set the bar so high. Like, there is potentially won them some pretty big games. Look at some of the Green Bay games, look at the Seattle game, like just what they've done with Bosa, Ford, Armstead, Buckner. They've both just a ferocious D-line. Kind of reminiscent, we were talking a lot about the Giants on this podcast. I think I haven't seen an offensive line this well-rounded since the Giants. That's how good they are. So I think if you want to look at one thing from a personnel standpoint, has to be what they've built up front.
I hear you. I agree with you. The biggest reason why the San Francisco 49ers are in the Super Bowl is because of Bill Belichick. A second-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo?
Thing is, I don't think Garoppolo's been that great.
I understand, but when you look at what the Falcons got for Mo Sanu, a second-round pick,
right,
and how valuable a quarterback is, a second-round pick for a franchise guy who's supposed to be your heir apparent.
I know. I think it's really insulting, though, not to mention anything San Francisco related, giving it to Bill Belichick. I think it goes far beyond
okay,
that trade.
And I expected that, and I have another counter.
Okay,
Kyle Shanahan.
Of course.
And also, what about this? What about this, Twitter world? I sound like O.J. Simpson. What up, Twitter world?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that.
Yeah, definitely don't want to do that. All right. A headline from a very, very big outlet. You've heard of Fox.
Yeah.
Super Bowl debacle should give 49ers second thoughts about Kyle Shanahan.
Fox wasn't the only headline. I remember that Monday morning there were plenty of tweets about that. When will people understand that you don't base your opinion on a coach or a player off one game?
How about this one? Like father, not the son. Kyle Shanahan introduced as the new head coach for the San Francisco 49ers, following the footsteps of his father, the great Mike Shanahan, who won Super Bowls in his stints in Denver. I agree with you. One game shouldn't, and I want to compare it a little bit to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson was great for 16 games. Well, 15 because he didn't play in that last regular season game. And then his team let him down in that first half.
I don't think he was that bad against Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
His team, but then what was the narrative? Oh, Lamar, 0-2 now in the playoffs, as a home favorite, alpha bye week.
They were a favorite against the Chargers. That Chargers team was really good.
I know. They were like a 2-point favorite. So
I'm shocked by that.
But essentially, you're right. On a neutral, that implies that the Ravens would have been an underdog if they were to play that game in Houston. Mm-hmm. But same thing. Shanahan, dude, every quarterback he's touched has turned into gold. Remember, like C.J. Beathard was
Nick Mullins was throwing. That's what I'm saying.
Mullins,
like, people wonder, like, if Nick Mullins is a quarterback right now, how far they could have gone. I'm like, who knows?
And think about what he did in Atlanta. I mean, shit, I'm sure you think about it all the time, but he had guys like Hardy Taylor Gabriel making
Hardy
plays,
made some
right?
plays, but
Hardy made some plays.
Rookie year, Austin Hooper,
obviously we know about Julio. Mo Sanu. Yeah. And then you look at over here, right? You have a rookie in Deebo Samuel, who, look, I know he was a top 50 pick, but he emerges, right? George Kittle, every running back that they put back there. Mm-hmm. And then Emmanuel Sanders.
Crossover.
What about Bourne? Bro, Bourne scores a touchdown in every primetime game.
He has such bad hands, but yeah, they make use of him. And then how about Mostert?
Yeah, Mostert too, man. You got to give this guy credit.
Oh, he's phenomenal. Yeah, he's right up there. If there's no reason, he would be the reason. I think what Kyle Shanahan's done, like between breaking records in Atlanta, what he did with Matt Schaub in Houston, some stuff he did with RG3 in Washington, and that Browns team, I'll never forget Brian Hoyer. They were like 8-5 or something, but then I don't know, they wanted to put in Manziel, and that just completely fell apart. But everything that Shanahan touches, for most part, turns to gold. I think people got on his case because the first 2 years in San Fran, he won a combined, 7 games? But
I give you an out, though.
yeah.
If your quarterback gets hurt, I give you a pass.
Right, especially in that division. NFC West is crazy good. Like, that division is going to be something for the next few years. Because I think Arizona's on the rise.
Yeah. But I think, God forbid, something happens to Russell Wilson. You can't blame Pete Carroll.
No.
It just happens.
Right.
Why was Mike McCarthy able to hold on for all those years? You know, how many seasons did Rodgers break a collarbone or miss 6-7 games?
Then he didn't. They couldn't win a game.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just think you have an out there. So that's for the 49ers. For the Chiefs.
I want to give praise to their defense because last year
Spags, baby.
he's done some good things there. But I just think that, especially that secondary got torched a lot. And you have to give him credit. Tyrann Mathieu had a real down year in Houston last year. People thought he was on major decline. Comes to Kansas City, he looks like an all-pro. I think just them limiting the explosive plays has been really key because last year they got exposed quite a bit if their offense wasn't firing on all cylinders. And their offense is still firing pretty well. I think this year they found a better balance. So I want to give credit to their defense because there's some games, especially that New England game. I know New England was like, oh, their personnel, but they made even Lamar look kind of sketchy this year. So I think Kansas City, some of the moves they made, Frank Clark's now starting to come around. And of course, you want to give credit to Spags. They've done a lot defensively where you have to tip your hats off to them because obviously you know what you're going to get from that offense. But I think defensively is where they've now been able to win, some of these playoff games convincingly, whether it's Tennessee and then eventually Houston. Yeah, they've had a couple of rough spurts, but for that defense, just force a couple turnovers, get a couple sacks, hold the opponent to under 30, and you're most likely going to win because that offense is probably going to put up over 30 because they just have the personnel to do it.
Yeah, think of how many, I don't want to call them cast-offs, but how many guys were sort of given away by their team on this defense, right? Honey Badger, Kendall Fuller, right? Comes in the Alex Smith trade. Rashad Breeland.
He's
been balling.
He's went from Washington to like Green Bay.
Hitchens, former Cowboy, former Raven. Terrell Suggs is over there too.
Terrell Suggs. That was a late pickup, savvy move.
And you know who just makes plays for them? Dude, Fenton.
I've seen. Yeah, he flashes.
It's like number 27, I think. He just like makes like open field tackles on like 3rd and 8.
Right.
Like it's little things like that go a long way. So I agree with you, man. And
I want to give credit also. No one talks about run stuffing defensive line, but Mike Pennell was a huge factor in that Tennessee game. Big reason why Derrick Henry averaged, I think, less than 4 yards per carry. So it's just certain moves like that gives you that just that defensive balance. Because look, this defense, there's still some holes in it, but when you have an offense like they have, there's a lot of margin for error, let's just say. So, but I thought that's kind of why they got held back.
All right, it should come to no one's surprise. The reason why the Chiefs are here is because of Pat Mahomes. Surprise, surprise, the king is back.
Yeah.
He did take his stone as the best quarterback in the league. Because, Alan, I have a very hot take. I think Pat Mahomes is the most underrated player in this Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a hot take.
All right. Last year, they were number 1 in points. Completion percentage is essentially the same as it was last year. 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. 1,000 less yards. No shit. He missed games because he was hurt. At one point, we thought his career might be altered when his kneecap was hanging off the side of his knee.
Yeah.
Your knee is not supposed to look like that. And then it took him he came back about 4 weeks later because the Chiefs were 2-2. Mm-hmm. And then
he got banged up in that New England game. I'll never forget. His hand was a problem.
His hand was a problem. Also, they lose that heartbreaker to the Titans, which they had no business losing that game, but that was the ultimate backdoor cover by the Titans as well. To the point where Honey Badger and Mahomes are laughing on the sideline like, damn, how the hell did this thing happen? That's when Ryan Tannehill really skyrocketed.
Derrick Henry had like a 75-yard rushing touchdown game.
His numbers were the same, essentially. And, well, his completion percentage was the same. His numbers weren't the same, I should say, because, dude, the guy was hurt. It took him a while for him to really get going. And then what happens? We forget that last year he became the best quarterback in the league. 50 touchdowns. Only 2 other players have done that. 3 times that's happened in NFL history.
Yeah.
All right. Then what happens this year? We get consumed by Lamar Jackson. in the AFC.
I think you're looking at this from a general public standpoint.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what I'm saying.
Okay, within the football world, no one's underrating Pat Mahomes.
No, but people did forget, dude. I remember seeing polls, and it's like, who would you rather have, Lamar Jackson or Pat Mahomes? And Lamar Jackson would win these conversations.
Recency bias.
That's what I'm saying.
That's sports. Like you just don't get invested in that. It's just okay. People want to have their takes, but if you look at the overall talent, I think people knows Mahomes is superior talent.
Without question.
Yeah.
I think already he's the best quarterback I've ever seen.
Okay, he's up there. Yeah, I'm thinking like Prime Rodgers. He's right up there with Prime Rodgers.
He's up. Yeah. You know what? Yes, I'll backtrack on that one.
Rodgers is prime.
Back shoulder, 40 yards to Jordy Nelson Rodgers.
His arm strength. Those two. You want to talk about making video game throws? They make video game throws.
I will 100% defer to you on that one. But going back to this thing about Pat Mahomes being underrated, I couldn't say nothing about Lamar Jackson because I was a hater, because I came out saying how I thought he couldn't throw, right? And then he proved me wrong. Absolutely. I've taken the L on the head many, many times.
Many people have.
But I think it's a combination of many, many things, right? The stats not being the same. Obviously, it's not going to be the same when he throws 50 touchdowns the year before. It was going to be regression.
Yeah.
He could have threw 42 touchdowns and people were like, oh, down here for Pat Mahomes. It's like, yeah, no shit. You know, he did something that only 3 other people have done. Our society being in the moment, like you said, recency bias, forgetting what happened 2 weeks ago, let alone what happened last year, the Lamar Jackson shit. And I feel like he almost kind of became underrated. And then in the playoffs, he showed you, dude, 8 touchdowns he threw.
Yeah,
And
Houston game was ridiculous.
Travis Kelce had 10 catches for like $130 and 3 touchdowns against the Texans and was not the best player on the field. Think about that. Because we're going to get into our props. I guess we could get into the props right now. And Pat Mahomes is the overwhelming favorite for MVP. He's essentially a pick 'em. $100 wins you $100. And it's like, what does a Chiefs player have to do to take that from him?
Mahomes probably have to turn it over at least twice. You have to have like somewhat of a sketchy game because it's hard for skilled players. Like Jacoby Jones, I remember in that 49ers Ravens Super Bowl, I think he had like 250 total yards, yet they still gave it to Flacco. And it's just like, what more can the guy do?
He housed the kick return too.
Yeah. And it's just like, what more can you do? I think Flacco had a decent game, but the fact that he went over Jacoby Jones, people are still surprised by that. And when people think that Super Bowl, they think of Jacoby Jones, not Joe Flacco. But so I think, yeah, of course they're going to cater to quarterbacks, but I don't know if Mahomes will have to make a couple mistakes. Otherwise, it's probably his. But I don't know when it comes to Super Bowl MVPs because it's just whoever has the most, I think, electrifying plays. Because we've seen guys before. We mentioned Dexter Jackson, Malcolm Smith in that Seahawks-Broncos game. So
it needs to be a game-changing play when the game really is still up for grabs.
But if a quarterback's consistently playing well, he's most likely going to win it because he's on the winning team. So
start us off. We have in this game, we're calling it $1,000 props. We have $1,000. We could pick 3 props. Lead us off. What would you, and you know, if you want to get wild and put it all on one prop, you're more than welcome.
No, I got 3 props.
But if you want to scatter a little bit, you know, go ahead and scatter.
I got Travis Kelce over 77.5 yards. Ooh. I think that's a lock.
So you like the actual player props?
I got 2 player props and 1 fun one. That's how I'm balancing.
Okay.
So I looked at it. I was like, man, Kelce against that. San Fran quietly gives up a lot of yards to tight ends. So between that and Kelce, I still believe he's the best tight end in the league. You could use him in a variety of different ways. Andy Reid will get the ball in his hands. I think Kelsey's definitely a lock for over 77 yards.
I like that one. And you know, a lot of people don't bet on those kind of props because
I feel like those are the best ones.
Yeah, but the reason why is you got to understand that the Super Bowl is the biggest sporting event in the country. Everyone has Super Bowl boxes. Everyone gambles on this one. There's so much money wagered on the Super Bowl that it could probably help get the country out of debt.
Yeah,
it's a lot. I know I'm reaching, but it's a lot. And what happens is you get a lot of people that you never in your wildest imagination thought that they would be interested in gambling, but they come out like, hey, who's going to score the first touchdown, or what's going to be the coin toss and whatnot. But you got to remember,
the coin toss is so weird. I remember seeing that.
It's a weird bet, but it's an official bet that you can make at a sports book. And the reason why is because props need to be confirmed. And what that means is in the past, you'll see how many times is Giselle going to appear on the screen? over under 1.5. And it's like, well, what justifies her being on the screen? Is her name popping up as a lower third?
Yeah,
is her being completely centered? Is it Robert Kraft with all the other families? And Gisele's, 65% of her body is showing, and the other half is cut out of the screen. So what applies to her being on the screen? So those cannot be fact checked, cannot be confirmed by sports books. Whereas a coin toss, whereas a prop like Travis Kelce over 77.5, you said?
Yes.
You could check the box score and be like, oh, you know what? He had 110 yards. It went over.
Yeah.
So that's something very important to remember when you're looking at these props. They need to be confirmed. With all that being said, how much are you putting on that one?
I put because we're working with 1,000 here, right?
Yeah.
Give me 700.
700? What the hell? Okay.
I really feel confident with that.
So here's the thing, right? Those bets are better bets because you really have 50-50 chances, right? Where the biggest sucker bets are Super Bowl MVPs, first touchdown, because there's only one outcome. And there's so many different other variables that go into that. Where this one, is he going to go over or under? So you have a 50-50
I like
split.
doing yards and specific statistics. I think you have a real good gauge of it.
You could guess. You could get a significant edge, but also people don't like to bet those because that's minus 115. So you got to put up $115 to win 100.
Yeah, this is your wheelhouse.
Yeah, people want to bet. People want to bet.
If I'm betting, I'm hiring someone I'm hiring you to help me out.
Free of charge. You know what I'm saying? One of the best doing it. But people really want, Mecole Hardman 55-1 for MVP.
That's such a reach.
But I'm saying they like that because it's like, $1 wins me 55. I'd much rather do that. So always remember when you're looking at props, the value lies in the props that you have to lay a little bit.
Listen to Lamb. That's all I'm saying. I'm just giving you statistics and other stuff.
Okay. For me, getting wild.
Okay.
I'm talking about super wild. The opening kickoff to the game being returned for a touchdown is 80-1 odds. $1 wins you 80. Now, you're probably saying, dude, it's going to be a touchback. Most likely, right? Because a lot of the balls get kicked into the end zone. All right. Mecole Hardman, I'm putting two together. This is one prop, but it's two. Mecole Hardman first touchdown score for the game, 20-1.
He did against the Chargers.
He is their returner. He was a Pro Bowler. And then it wasn't because of the fan vote. It was like, no, this guy is the actual Pro Bowler. So we put a nice hundy on 80-1 odds that the opening kickoff is going to be a touchdown. And then we also put another 100 on Mecole Hardman to be the first touchdown scorer.
Okay.
And if that happens, you're looking at a payout of about $10,000, probably hammered by the time the extra point is kicked in that sequence.
Okay. This is
this is a very wild one. Yeah. This is very, very wild.
Okay.
Give me another.
Chiefs over 2.5 sacks. Jimmy G is known for holding the ball long. That offense line is kind of sketchy. Kyle Shanahan's system kind of bails them out. I think with Chris Jones, Terrell Suggs, Frank Clark, that and Jimmy G's tendency to hold the ball for too long, I think you're going to see the Chiefs get like 3 or 4 sacks in this one. Plus, Spags in the Super Bowl. We got to take that into account.
Yeah, and what about the idea of maybe the Chiefs playing with a lead?
Oh, that helps big time too. Like I expect Jimmy. I wonder how many pass attempts is there prop bet for Jimmy G? Like, is it 22? Yeah, I think he's gonna probably throw 30 times this game.
Ready for this one?
Okay.
Minus 300. This is a little bit of juice. $300 wins you $100. Now, I've already bet 200 of it. I'm going to put $300 to win $100. How many songs will be performed in Spanish during the halftime show? Over,
I've seen this one.
1.5. I am saying over. It's Shakira. It's J-Lo. Great girls. Also, they're in Miami.
Yeah.
It's like the Spanish capital
I feel like that's
of
a
the
lock.
US.
I want to go that one. Yeah.
That's a lock, baby.
Yeah.
Minus 300. They're definitely going to come out and sing at least 2 songs in Spanish.
Yeah.
Get the crowd going. They have to, bro. It's the Latino capital of the States.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
Nice 300 spot. So now I have $500 left and I have one more bet.
Okay.
So
I have a halftime show one as well.
Oh, okay.
I saved for last. Appearance from Mr. 305 himself. I don't know what the odds are, but I guarantee you Pitbull will make an appearance on the halftime show. That's my fun one.
Wow. Is that on here?
It is on there. I forgot what the odds are, but I think how can you not have missed a 305 there?
Wow. Gerald Piqué be shown during the halftime
Yeah,
show.
they're not showing Piqué.
Yeah, they're not. No one's gonna know who Piqué is, man. Just like a handful of people.
33-year-old Barcelona center back.
Oh my God.
I did see A-Rod, by the way.
Yeah, minus 480. Minus 480 Pitbull to make an appearance. So it's essentially a lot.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen.
Interesting. Dude, I think they're gonna show A-Rod. Fox is calling the game. He's a Fox broadcaster.
Yeah.
Plus 145. You want to get wild?
It's not bad. I'm talking about halftime show. I don't know if they're going to show him during the halftime show. They might show him during the game.
Okay, I have one more. My last one. And for me, I'm going to go with Gatorade color.
Oh, this is tricky.
This is very tricky. But I'm going to go with red plus 350.
Okay.
Both teams
So
wear
you're
red.
basic, yeah.
Well, just maybe.
I like blue as the color. That's my favorite
Blue
Gatorade.
is 9-1. Wow.
But red, you think with the colors.
Yeah.
Andy Reid's very specific when it comes to his food and drink choices.
So, all right, let's take a look. Blue, yellow, none.
Is that
orange, blue,
Yeah.
orange, none. Purple, orange, yellow. Dude, we haven't had red in so long.
Oh, man.
Yellow, clear, none. Purple, none. Yellow. That's from
I feel like
Super
yellow
Bowl.
and orange are most popular. And maybe blue.
Wow. Purple is the favorite at minus 120.
Oh, man.
This would be dope if we knew someone with the Chiefs and the Niners that make the Gatorade. Be like, hey, what's up, man? Here's a nice Hyundai.
Okay, we got no management teams now.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just help us, man. Help us out. Let's get a little crazy. All right, cool. So, guys, let us know at Veterans Minimum. What are some of your favorite props to bet on in the Super Bowl? Have you ever done props for real, or
Maybe once. This was years ago. At this point, I'm just trying to enjoy the game.
dude? The Falcons Patriots Super Bowl.
Oh, that I definitely know.
Yo, Joey made $1,500 by halftime. He had Freeman first touchdown score. He hit the coin toss. He hit the anthem. He had mad shit. He was crushing it.
I was staying next to him most of the entire game. I don't remember him celebrating like this.
He was the kid has money. That's right. But he was 6 of 8 on props.
I don't remember him getting hyped up about this.
Oh man,
my God.
Gotta love it.